Hello, welcome back to Astrology Study Group. This is Carrie Breeze, Astro Breeze, and I want to share my think and how I go about looking at people, charts, situations, and just kind of give you a looky see, maybe a kind of a 1-2 on how to go about doing that. And I'll try to share my sources and my think process while we're looking at something interesting. And I think it's always interesting to look at politicians because it's like you can see more what they really are, who they really are, where celebrities not always so. So it's just interesting. And then especially if there's some event going on, which, we have the elections, if you want to call them that. Um, so anyway, I thought we would look at a few players, and this week I've kind of outlined Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. But while I was just putting things together, I did get Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s chart. I wanted to just do a quick looky see. But I'll probably do him more investigative the next time. But anyway, if we get to it, because there's a lot. So the first thing you want to do is get the chart. And I'm using Solar Fire, and I also use Sirius 2.0 astrology software. But you don't have to do that. You can just type in the name of that person, and it's like, like write Donald Trump's birth date, and then write a natal chart. And it'll bring you just to the search engines of Astro Theme and Astro Seek, and there's a lot of free, it's already done. So you just go look at it, and hopefully they have the birth time. If they have the birth time, then you have the houses and much more information, as you know. Anyway, we can still look at a lot. And whenever you see my chart set at 11:59 a.m. or noon, then it's almost 100% that we don't know the birth time. So I set it for like right in the middle of the day. Every so often you get somebody born really close to noon. I was born really close to noon. So anyway, most of the time it's like it splits the difference. So that way we can see where the moon is at, and then we can calculate, well, it could be this way or that way if it's getting close to changing signs. But anyway, that gives me a good looky see. But you can just go look it up. So go get the chart, and then here I have them already entered in. So I'm just going to click on it so you can see it, and you should see the chart of Donald Trump. I want to just make sure that you should see it. And you'll see that he has a 29-degree Leo rising. You'll see that on the left. But if we look over at him all the way up on the left, we'll see it says natal chart, June 14th, 1946. He's born on a Friday, 10:54 a.m. in Jamaica, New York. All right. So we're looking at real quick here is we have a heavy emphasis of planets in the upper hemisphere, and it's above the horizon. You remember the horizon is the line that is right here. It's like it starts the first house and goes through the seventh. So this is the horizon. So when he was born, he says it was like almost 11 o'clock. So we would expect this is the horizon. This is the sun rises here. So anything near the top of the chart would be noon. Near this end of the chart would be sunset. And then here's midnight. And then we come back to sunrise. So you can approximate the times of the day there. Okay, so it's interesting. He was born 29 degrees Leo rising. That's, in the constellation of Regulus, which is interesting. And then he's got Mars just above, it just rose there. It was at a 26 Leo. And then we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 planets above the horizon. I'm not going to count the moon node because it's just a place in space. But anyway, 7 planets above the horizon. So he's a public figure. Everybody knows him. He's a big name. And then look at the sun is way up there at the top of a chart of his chart. It's in the 11th house, or I mean the 10th house. And that's the sign of, it's the natural house of Capricorn. It's business, it's corporations, it's the all of that. And he's got the sun right there by his north node. North node's where you're going in life. And then he's got Uranus there. So it's going to be it my way, different, shocking. And then all that in Gemini. So it's all that information. He's just busy, busy, busy in his head. But interesting, he's got all that softy Cancer stuff. He's got um, Venus and Saturn and Mercury all in cushy Cancer. And then Mercury, the way you think, what's coming up before he even reacts, it's all like, is this for the good of the home? Is this for the good of the family? Is this, for my family, for my home, for universal family? Because that's in the 11th house now, so that's everybody's home and family. Nice to have somebody rooting for you, hopefully, that has Cancer in the 11th house. I don't know. I think that's a good thing. Um, Pluto and Mars, and then in the 12th house, in and is rising in Leo. So we got a lot of that up there. So that he's outward, but he's also self-driven because it's all on the left side of his chart. Um, all on the left. His moon is the only thing on the right hand side of the chart. And ignore the nodes and ignore the vertex for now. That's what those other things are. But just look at the moon. So the moon is in 1, 2, 3, the fourth house of Cancer. That at least it likes to be. That's the place where it would like to be. Maybe it's not quite as comfortable there in Sagittarius. That's really out there. And he has he's got a real inner need to be big. To bring big things out. And then that's interesting that's in, and then maybe bring big things out to, because let me finish my sentence. Bring big things out to the people, to the public. And I say that because, that Sagittarius is wanting to share all that, to show something new, to just, it's going to be that fire sign, and it's going to be outward, and it's going to be way out there, and look at this, and it's like really broad horizons. But the moon is in its natural house, so that all kind of gets along. That's just really interesting. So I thought I'd point out that a little bit so we get an idea of what we're looking at. So I kind of look at this, and nothing's going to happen one way or another that's not like promised in the natal chart. So you got to kind of take a look at that natal chart and see what you have before you start speculating all over the place. All right, nonetheless, a little warning there, but this just tells you what is possible, because like he's got nothing in Pisces or nothing in Aries, or so certain things aren't going to affect him by that, but then there could be a detriment. But anyway, so the next thing we do, that what I'll do, is go get the current transits, what's happening now, and I do what's called a bi-wheel, and it's just putting the current planets on the outside of a natal chart. And you don't have to have a program to do this. You can write them in by hand. So what I'm going to do is put on the outside. And if you just have that, if you look on, again, you could look in any of those Astro Gold, Astro Seek, and get today's transits, or if you have an ephemeris, you can get them and you can look and see. So I'm just, for sake of time, going to just show this to you, and you will see today's transits, the planets, where they're at right now, on the outside wheel, and his chart is still on the inside. So take you just a second to look around at that. Get a quick drink. And we know right now, at the time of this recording, it's July 18th, 2023. And we know that at the 18th, the sun is deep into Cancer. And you see up here that it's at 25 degrees Cancer, 57 minutes. So pretty soon it'll be 26 degrees, and it'll be like 4 days. It will be, going into the next sign of Leo, which we'll talk about in the transits. But nonetheless, we see that the sun now is going over, or has just gone over, because it's in Cancer. So it went over his Mercury, and then it went over his Saturn, and then it is now going over his Venus. So right now, just right now, and let's just look at this. I think I can do here. This will, okay, so sun in the 11th house. I want to do, hold on. I want to do sun and Saturn. Let you see that, hopefully. Will give me sun conjunct Saturn. No, how about this one? Okay. Venus in the 11th house and Venus in Cancer. It's not doing it, just telling me where it's at. Okay. Socializing groups, peacemaking role, emphasis on family, strong emotional bonds within your tribe. You have an emotional need for financial security. All right, so a lot of stuff. He's really ramping up his message. You know, his what he's saying. He's saying things that he, he should have said and done years ago. But nonetheless, he's bringing out a lot of good word, good message, kind of busting the paradigm again, calling people out on stuff, whether you like him or not. He is exposing. You know, he's ripping the lid off this organization. He's not an attorney, for one thing, and you know the powers that be, the deep state, what do you want to call them? They hate him because of that. He's not. He's a thorn in their side. So what does Donald have going on? So I like to start just just give you a little looky see. But what I like to do when I see something like this to keep it from looking like astrology gobbledygoo. And if you know nothing about this and just want to listen, I try to explain as I go. But because this is astrology study, so we're going to study how all this works. So what I'm noticing here, I like to go from the very outer planets to the close inner ones. The outer ones give us the long-term sense of things, and then we can micro in on the inner planets, which are more daily and weekly and gets a faster, what's going on, because the sun changes position every day. Mercury, those are faster moving planets. So nonetheless, let's start and look at Pluto. And we see Pluto here, transiting Pluto. We know it just moved back into Capricorn, and it's at 29 degrees Capricorn, 12 minutes since retrograde. When you see the little aura here on its retrograde. So it's just letting us know that it is back into that area. And we know that it's going to go back a little bit, and then it'll change directions. I believe like January, a bunch of stuff happens around then. Maybe at the end of December, right in there. Anyway, it will then go, it'll turn direct, and then it'll start its trek back into Aquarius. And, it vacillates right in there. So with him, he has Aquarius at 1 degree, 45 minutes of his sixth house cusp. So right now it is at the end of his fifth house, and it's about to go into his sixth house. So let's look at what that means. Let me call that up. Donald Trump. And let me give you a new share. Let you look at this one. You can read along with me. Okay. Oh, wait. Let me show you back. Hold on. I want to show you this first. Okay. You can just type in some of these aspects that you see just, into your browser. You'll probably get a lot of them that come up from Cafe Astrology to help interpret some of these things. But this book here is definitely one of my favorites, Planets in Transit by Robert Hand. And I have a copy. I have 2 copies. They're so worn out. But I got a newer copy, hard copy. But I did find it, a downloadable PDF on scribed.com. And you have to sign up. I think it's $11 a month or something. And you can get all kinds of, PDF material people upload. And then you can upload. And I think you can offset your price that way, but scrib.com. I'm not sure if the apostrophe is there, but if you type that in, it's there. Anyway, I downloaded that, and that's where I got this information. So I cut and pasted into another sheet so I don't have to be flipping through the book, but I just want to show you just how this book rolls for a second. All right, so this is really good. I like this book a lot of his interpretations. I have been using it for a long time. I don't know, 30 years, so 20 years, and it's really good. So he's got a lot of good stuff in the beginning, but then what he does, it's like, okay, so it goes by, from the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, goes all on out, and then it starts. Let me just show you how each chapter starts real quick. He goes into like the houses. Hold on. There we go. So the first part of the chapter, he'll go through the sun, whatever planet in each house. I'm just going backwards here. Sun in the 10th, sun in the 11th, sun in the 12th. Okay. Then it goes into everything starting with the sun. So we'd have sun conjunct the sun. And then this has sun sextile the sun, and then square the sun, and then trine the sun. And then it would be opposition the sun, right? And then we would go the next one, sun conjunct the moon, same thing, all the way through Pluto. But at the end of each chapter, he also gives you um, to the sun conjunct or what is I'm trying to get to the ascendant in midheaven. Let me just get there real quick so you can see it. One time, if you've seen something and it's like, oh, okay. All right, so after the last one, see Sun opposition Pluto, that was the last of that. Then we go Sun conjunct midheaven, Sun sextile midheaven. We get all the things: Sun square midheaven, Sun trine midheaven, opposition midheaven, and then Sun conjunct descendant. Same thing. Okay, so this is really cool, and you can go look this up, and you can see they're pretty hefty definitions, whether it's a daily aspect or something that's in place for a longer time. All right. So what I did was I just cut and pasted into a file just so I can show it to you easier without scrolling through all that. All right, so we've got Pluto ends the fifth house and changes into the sixth. So I just I put a lot of this in here, and then I highlighted some of the better parts of this so we can go through. There's a lot, but I want to just try to highlight some of the things so you get a sense of this. All right, so Pluto in the fifth, this is where it's at now, where it is leaving. And you would do this for anybody. So again, going from out to in. So we want to get an idea what house those outer planets are in. And then if anything changes, that's going to be a big year, like within this next year, it'll change places. Okay, the impacts of this transit can have many consequences because the fifth house rules several areas of your life. The fifth house also relates to creative self-expression. During this time, you'll be attracted to activities that are powerful and involving, may even carry a risk of life because you want to experience everything you do very intensely. Superficial experiences do not attract you at all. One other thing, this is the natural house of Leo, and he has just been for a long time really out there. People have seen him because this is, Pluto's in a place for quite a while, so it's just leaving the spot. It's been here for a while. So, from probably the campaign on to the 2016, 2014, maybe 2015, probably started that. We can probably safely say that it was, entered that house around that time. But we could go look that up. But this, you can try to get, it's like, yeah, he has been. He's done rallies. He's been all over, and he's endorsing lots of people. Whether you like it or not, we're just looking at this as an astrological point of view. My point. Okay. Now it's moving into the sixth house. This is now the natural house of Virgo, health, work, employees. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, be careful of your health under this transit. During these years, you're likely to overstrain yourself physically and pay inadequate attention to your body's needs. Also, for years, you may have had a physical condition you haven't considered worth attending to, but now it may reach a critical point, so you have to do something about it. All right, we'll keep a little note there. Not all of this is always everybody. And you'll see some things will reinforce some of these things and some things will negate it. So because this is, there's so much involved, and then we'll see certain things, how it will point to certain areas. It's like we'll sift out certain things, and other things will keep coming up because other aspects will reinforce it. That's what I want to say, the reinforcing. All right, at its most severe, this transit can produce a complete physical breakdown. This is only likely if you completely ignore your health needs as mentioned above. So this problem can easily be avoided. In fact, this transit can also indicate complete physical regeneration. If you adopt a careful physical regimen, now you can rebuild your body even if you have neglected it in previous years. It's good to know because I think he was drinking a lot of soda. Pluto's transit through this house is likely to affect this part of your life as it is to affect your health. You can expect great changes in your work, possibly a complete change of job or even career. Put that in the back of your head. This is very interesting. Very interesting. Because we talked about in other videos that, well, especially the one on the United States, it's what we know as the United States is a corporation. And that makes a big difference. Okay, there may be difficult. So if he's helping people to realize that we got to get rid of this corporation and return the land to the people, That's a good thing. And he may be a wrecking ball to get that to happen. That's all I want to say on that. But this is interesting. Keep the thing about the job change or career, because if he does that, then it will change. Or other things. There may be a difficult period of tension because Pluto creates tension with people in your job, particularly bosses. You may be compelled to look elsewhere for work. Okay, but we got to try to transpose this onto the person. So sometimes it doesn't always line up how it's written, but I think you get the idea. If this kind of tension arises, it's probably best, all right, to get another job. You may change jobs frequently as you uh, cast about for the proper situation. It may take several years to find, but when Pluto gets near the end of this house, the sixth house, you probably will. This is interesting too. It is quite possible that you will get into a line of work that is Plutonian in nature, a job that involves tearing down something in order to build anew, such as wrecking. Well, that's what they say. But this is interesting because he talks about that a lot, and he's into construction. So work that involves regenerative therapies, either physical or psychological, is Plutonian. Or your work may deal with secret or subversive elements of society or with secret projects. Very interesting. All right, now hopefully I can maybe I can do it this way. There's some other things going on, but anyway, this is what I do. So I'm going to show you what some of these other ones here. He's got some Pluto aspects coming up. Pluto quincunx Mars, Neptune quincunx Mars, Venus quincunx Mars, and then Mercury will retro in his first house. And I'll show you those. Let me go back over to his chart. I think this is the one I want. Yes. Now, you know what? I think I want to get just his regular chart. Let me see. No. No. Just nope. Nope. There we go. Okay. Oh, but it's not going to show to you if I do that. Oh, I gotta get the bi-wheel. Let me just make sure I got the bi-wheel. All right. Okay, so Pluto. Let's see if we can get this. So we got Pluto and then Mars. Why isn't this doing it this way for me? It's being a butt. Okay. Anyway, Pluto is going to be in conjunct and not it's a kind of yucky angle to his Mars. So that's like bringing stuff out from the depth, right? He's got, again, we got a lot of this Pluto stuff, and then Mars. This is an adjustment. I would say anytime you remember the 150-degree quincunx aspect is adjustment. So Pluto Mars, they're like kind of nasty, so he's got to adjust and maybe he's got to bring himself through the fire so people can see the depth of corruption, something like that. All right, and now what else we got going on? We got Venus going right over his Mars right there. So we got, and I wish this would do this for me. All right, anyway, Venus transiting Venus, and it's going to go back and forth over there because Venus is going retrograde. So we see Venus is at 28 degrees, so it just went over his Mars at 26. It doesn't line up on the software, but you can see the degree. And then it'll retrograde. It's going to retrograde at 28, and it'll go back over Mars. And then when it goes forward, it'll go over Mars again. So he's got that magnetism right now. He's got that female Mars dance. They're conjunct in Leo, the sign of the heart of the, of that fifth house. And, that Pluto's in that fifth house. He's that regeneration. It's like, look, this is wrong. And I'm bringing it out. Interesting though, that they're end of his 12th house. So he's, the 12th house is the depths of things, more Pluto stuff. So we got this back and forthness of that. All right, what else do we got going on? We've got transiting. All right, so that was the Pluto there. I'm trying to stay wide and then get in, but it just can't help seeing this current stuff right now. So things tie in, they go back and forth. So we have Pluto with that stuff, and then let's go to the next planet coming in. We've got Neptune, and Neptune is in the 8th house. That's kind of the natural place um, well, it's a water house. Let me put it that way. It gets along being in there because it's in Pisces, but it's in the Scorpio house. So it's at 27 degrees, and it's also making an aspect over to Mars and in conjunct a quincunx. So that would be like, be careful of deception or make an adjustment to nebulous things or nefarious things or calling out or taking action on nefarious things. Now, interesting, we got that in conjunct to Pluto, in conjunct to Neptune, and like Saturn is kind of almost sitting in the middle of it. It's sort of like in the opposition point there is like, Saturn is like, is just coming off, it's retrograding, so it's kind of getting, it's getting closer to that point. It's pretty close to it. So it's like putting in that order between the deception and, calling out that really depth of stuff. So this is a very interesting place. His Mars is there, and then Venus going over his Mars while that's all happening is huge. I mean, this is like a really big thing. He's always got that balance, male, female, of, in the sign of Leo, of that being on stage, coming from the heart. Look at me. But you got to look at me to bring you this message. You've got to have a certain amount of ego to make something like that happen. And this is a very interesting right now, because he's facing the indictment in Washington, where that's all rigged. There's that jury's all picked. So it will be interesting to see how this goes. So there's the Neptune deception stuff, and Venus and Mars, it'd be right, right over, kind of like opposing Saturn, right in the middle of that stuff. So that's very, very profound. Another interesting thing is his Uranus. It's right at the top of his chart. It's right at the end right now of his ninth house. I mean, it's going to go retrograde. It's going to go to 23 degrees. His midheaven's at 24. So it's going to almost get there. It's going to retrograde, and then it will move forward, and it will conjunct his midheaven next year. Interesting. DeSantis also has a planet conjuncting his midheaven. So let's look at what this one is for President Trump. You can see it. What you know about Uranus is that it's electric, it's surprise, it's out of the blue, it's sudden, it's yeah. And it's grounded in Taurus. It wants to be more electrical, but it's bringing that stuff down to earth. It's bringing this, that information. It's got that Taurian, values, money, security, housing, bringing all those issues out. So let's look at, I think I have that one at the midheaven for you. Yeah, Uranus conjunct the midheaven. It will be next year, June 4th, 2024. It will be there. Then it will go into his 10th house, which we'll see in a second. So with this transit, you can look forward to sudden changes in the way you define your individuality before the world. See, and this is getting close. This is happening now. This is going to be exact on that date, but it's only 2 degrees away. So this is what's happening now. And you can see this. This will be reflected in your profession, your social position, and your reputation in the eyes of others. He's gaining a lot of speed. In the polls, it's amazing how high in the polls he is. Like, I don't trust polls totally, but when they're in his favor, when everybody hates him, it's probably showing the truth. So these changes can allow you to break free and encounter life with new freedom and readiness for fresh experiences. Now, he also is getting up to speed on a lot of stuff that he didn't know. He took advantage. He didn't know how corrupt or how deep the swamp was. So, and all the people around him were a lot of snakes. And he's gotten that, of course, after what's happened to him. So this, with that point of view, you can see that this would fit. These changes can allow you to break free and encounter new freedom, readiness for fresh ways, but they can also be profoundly upsetting depending on your orientation toward the public life. If your public and professional life is a source of achievement and satisfaction, it is unlikely to be damaged by this transit, only broadened and made more challenging. And then more of these indictments and more of the stuff is getting him to be more popular. Very interesting. If you're working in an area that is generally good for your overall development, this transit may present sudden opportunities for advancement, especially if you work in a Uranian field such as science, technology, astrology, or the occult. But you will have the opportunity to do new kinds of work. Now, this is the second time we've seen this, right? New kinds of work. To work with new techniques, on again, and to have responsibility, new experiences. There may be a sudden promotion to a position with new responsibilities. Whatever happens will make it possible for you to stay alive and feel fulfilled in your profession. So this is the second time we're seeing this energy. Events may force you to change your line of work altogether or to change your position in the kind of work you do. This transit can signify a revolt against authority figures of all sorts, but especially employers. Yeah, so this is very interesting. Look forward to this. This is coming. Okay, let's see. We talked about transiting Venus on Mars. Oh, Mercury will retro in his first house. We got that one too. Let's just look at that. Go back over to his chart. So Mercury, we're kind of bouncing back and forth. Mercury is out here in Leo right now. We got all this stuff in Leo. So this is bringing up again, and then this that Leo energy, that roar, that I'm on stage. I got to bring this out. I got to bring my plan to fruition. I got to talk it up. I got to use my popularity and things to get things done. So Mercury is now in the 12th house, and that's where he's admitted a lot of stuff. He's bringing out a lot of depths, a lot of truth. He's calling a lot of stuff out, a lot of people out. And that's it's going to retrograde in Virgo. So it's going to cross, his ascendant. And that'll be interesting. So that'll just give more speech to him. People will see him. Your ascendant is what people see, on the outside of you. So what people see will be a lot more communication from the heart from him. And it's, he's got Venus, sitting there now, about ready to cross, and it's going to do its retrograde back right there, right around his ascendant. So it'll be interesting. Anyway, Mercury will go into his first house. It'll then cross his Mars, so that will give more power to his speech. He'll be more, the speech, communications, more drive to it, more words behind it, maybe more poignant words, maybe flagrant, flaming, and then being in the first house is more offensive. I think if it were in the 12th house, I think it'd be more defensive. But we'll have to see what happens to him. But Mercury, let's see, when does it go? Did I write it down here? I think it's I'll just look at my fingers. Let's see. Mercury goes the end of August. Yeah, like the 23rd of August, it goes retrograde. So we've got between, the sun will be moving through Leo on, during that time. So we'll look as we get a little bit closer, but we've got all that stuff moving in his first house. All right. What else do we have? Go back to here. Okay. We talked about this one. Oh, he's got a couple of things here. We've got transiting Uranus will square his Mars, and it will quincunx his moon. So we got a couple more Uranus aspects, and then a couple of Saturn. Another's, quincunx Saturn, quincunx Neptune, and then Saturn trine Mercury. All right, so I'm just going to explain these so we can move on. So we got the Uranus square Mars. That will, again, more Mars aspects. So this is going to be more things out of the blue with, that he's got to put energy towards, or something might happen unexpected or sudden, or, square Mars. He may have to really do some interesting maneuvering. Quincunx the moon, that is like adjustment to your emotions, adjustment to how you feel. And then Saturn quincunx Neptune, more looking at, it's adjustment to deception, maybe to wrong charges, And Saturn, quincunx, Neptune, not a good conversation there. But then we have Saturn trine Mercury. So that's kind of the saving grace, because then we're getting a communication about some values, a communication about restriction, a communication about what really happened. And then Mercury conjuncts Pluto, and then there again we have the now Mercury can have its say of what's happened. Mercury went over hell and is going to talk about it. Mercury conjunct Pluto. Mercury is looking into that and giving some narrative. And then the Venus conjunct Mars, which we said is that push pull with that male female point of view. So let me just show you the chart one more time, and we can get just that to sum it up. It looks very interesting. We've got these planets up here near his midheaven, and then especially around the election time, and then the next several years when Uranus actually crosses into his 10th house, it'd be very interesting. So Uranus, you can look it up in Robert Hand's book, but Uranus in the 10th house surprises, individuality, sudden new things, new innovations in business, in what his career is going to be. And then when it finally goes into Gemini, it will go over his own Uranus. He'll have his Uranus return, and that will be interesting. And then it'll go over his north node. So that's all good. We can see that. And then Neptune, or Jupiter as well. Wherever Jupiter touches, it's bringing big things, and we see that it's getting closer to the sun, and in his place in life, and then his sun. So the next 7 years, it's going to be getting over all of this stuff. Uranus and Jupiter going over his Uranus north node and his sun. So all of this is going to be visited by this. We can look, in this next little bit of time. And now back to Pluto will be in his 6th house, and that is an Earth house, and his 10th house is an Earth house. So that all will get along. That will all get along. All right, we can go in a lot deeper, and I just you can see how you can kind of get information, and we can see some of the things that have lined up. It's a couple of the aspects said the same thing, so that's what we would expect, that more of that sort of thing happens. All right, now I'm going to move to let's go look at Ron DeSantis. Actually, I'm just gonna show you just his chart first before I get too confusing with the planets on the outside, just so you get a good, interesting look. You see, he also has a moon that's like a breakaway moon there. His moon is, he's got everything. This guy's different. He's got almost everything on the bottom half of his chart, and his moon is in the upper part. So it's his emotions, and his moon is in calm, cool, collected, rebellious Aquarius. So he wants to break down a lot of these old structures. He does not like that rhetoric. And look at all the stuff in Virgo. Virgo sun, Virgo north node. Sun by the north node. Interesting, right? Mercury and Saturn all in Virgo. So that gives me hope about him. And I know he's to me right now, I think he's going sideways. And all these people that are lawyers, attorneys, they're they mean well, a lot of it, and a lot of them don't know that that's not a good thing, but they'll learn. What is he, only 45? But all the Virgo stuff gives me hope. And then we've got the Mars and the Pluto in Libra. I like that too. The Venus and the Uranus in Scorpio are kind of interesting. The Venus especially, that gets Venus doesn't like to be there. Not a real good place. That's kind of that but you can't have everything. So anyway, but he's pretty balanced with everything. I think Trump, I didn't notice. I mean, I didn't point him. I think he has no Earth, but he's that's funny. That's funny because he's gotten so much retail. I mean, so much ownings with no Earth. But DeSantis is pretty even in cardinal, fixed, mutable, and in all the elements: fire, earth, air, water. He's pretty even on all of that. Okay, just so we know just a little bit what we're dealing with here. Now I'm going to put it, make sure you got that. All right, now we can see the transiting outer planets to his inner stuff. All right, let's start with Pluto. um, Pluto's in the eighth house. It's that like where it wants to be. So there's some interesting thing. Pluto's in its natural place, natural house, and it just crossed into that, and it will be there. And it moves slow. And what is it gonna be, like 20 years in this sign? So in about 10 years, it will go over his moon. That'll be interesting. So we can kind of look ahead, and then you could look that stuff up. We could see Pluto and moon. It's not, is it going to give it to me? No, because I have it on animate. All right. Anyway, he's got that in about 10 years, but Pluto in the eighth house. All right. Well, now let's look at Neptune up here. Oh, now this is interesting. Neptune in the 10th house, and it's going over his south node right now. That to me is pretty debilitating. And do I have, let's see, let me look. Do I have that in here for you? Let me see, I have several things here. Yes, I do. All right, go here, new share. Again, I got these things from Robert Hand's book. All right, natal or transiting, I put T, transiting Neptune is conjunct the south node. An invitation to drop what is not working anymore. Facing our fantasies or letting go of things that you have been pouring your energy into. Things that are draining. Everything that has been hidden and repressed comes to the surface to be acknowledged and healed before we can finally let go and move on. Neptune in the 10th house, this can be very confusing and disorienting time, but it can teach you basic truths about life if you're able to get over the fear and confusion that sometimes accompany this transit. The effects of this transit depends on your attitude toward what you do for a living in the broadest sense. If you regard your work as a justification for your existence, something that gives your life a purpose it would not otherwise have, then this would be a difficult time. Pluto will make you wonder whether there is any purpose in what you are doing and whether there is any particular reason to go on. Your disillusionment may come about through personal defeats with others or through some incident that shows your work was not what you thought it was. Perhaps another person may misrepresent something or deceive you. No matter what you do during these years, be careful about deceiving others or being deceived by them. For such actions could have very negative consequences. You may also feel discouraged because people oppose your efforts to get ahead for no apparent reason. You may decide that your present calling is not adequate, that you should change to an area that will have more meaning to you, blah, 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 blah. Okay. This transit will not be destructive if you work in the spirit of helping others. This transit can also bring you a great interest in psychic, spiritual, and occult matters, and you may even become involved in these in your profession. I don't think so, but anyway, just from hearing just that, we'll look at some more, but I would say, what are you doing running for president right now? What are you doing opposing Donald Trump right now? You need to stay governor. This is not your time. But we'll go on. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I read this. So, all right, let's see. All right, so we had transiting Pluto in the eighth, and then we said it's its home sign. A home house. Pluto likes to be there, and it's also going to change signs there from Capricorn to Aquarius. So let's read a little bit of this. In many ways, Pluto is at home with this transit since its symbolism is very closely related to that of the eighth house. Both relate to death and resurrection symbolically as well as literally. During this transit, the issues of major transformation, even death, rebirth, and regeneration, will become more significant in your life than ever before. Although your own life is not in any great danger, there may be deaths of people around you that will have a very important effect on you. Such a death may radically change your life circumstances in some way or force a confrontation within you about the nature and meaning of your life. In general, your concerns will become quite deep during this transit. You may become involved in the occult, look at that again, or other teachings that relate to the issues of life and death. You will find it difficult to accept explanations that do not get to the very bottom of the matter and explore its innermost parts. Well, that's because he's so Virgo. Of course not. On an entirely different level, this transit can affect possessions and resources held jointly with others. A spouse's finances, for example, or corporate finances. Now, I heard something like in the last, whatever, I forget when he got into the governorship, there was some extra funds there, and I think there was something. I just heard something funky about that. I cannot remember it totally, but that's kind of like, when I'm reading this now, I'm like, I've got to go back and find what that was. It's like $1 million or something. It's like, whoa, that he didn't use it was over. Oh yeah, campaign donations, right? That was, it didn't need all those for whatever. There was money left over. Somehow there was some law or something happened in that. It might be kind of shady or might come to light. Um, all right. It's not, um, a major change may occur in your life through one of these sources. Your spouse advises corporate finances. There we go. Or that might be taking money from the Bushes. This is not a good time to go into debt because indebtedness will put you very much under someone else's control. So this might be, making handshakes where you shouldn't. One possibility that combines both principal themes of this transit is that of an inheritance. However, for this to happen, there should be other transits that reinforce this possibility. Okay. He also has Pluto opposition to Jupiter. This transit will make you drive yourself and others around you to attain success, excellence, or preeminence in some way. It represents the drive to actualize an idea you hold about how the world ought to be. The danger of this transit is that you may become arrogant, domineering toward those around you as if you were some kind of Superman, above all morality and law except your own. Admittedly, this is a rather extreme manifestation, but it's a danger that this transit brings. In particular, avoid any behavior that could get you in trouble with the law. Second time we're hearing this. If you decide to become a law unto yourself, the law of society may have to stop you. Even civil suits should be avoided, if possible, because it will be difficult for you to represent a winning case at this time. You may have a strong desire to manipulate others, not because you want to convince them of your belief in an ideal state of being, but simply because you don't have enough respect for their rights as individuals. Don't proceed as if you had a superiority complex, for that will only cause others to gang up on you and try to destroy you. It would be a pity to waste this transit on any of its negative manifestations, because it really does give you an opportunity to make yourself over according to your ideals. You can undergo a total spiritual regeneration and achieve a greater understanding of yourself and your place in the universe. And your relations with others will be an integral part of the process. All right, we read that one. Give you that one. Saturn in the 9th house. Let's go look at that real quick. You see. Okay, so he's got Saturn in the 9th house here. And that's what's going to be coming over his midheaven. Okay, so we had Uranus going over Trump's midheaven next year, and then Saturn will go over DeSantis's midheaven next year. Very interesting. So let's look at that one. Saturn in the 9th house, this is where it's at now. So we're going to read that, then we'll see what happens. It goes over into the 10th house. You're approaching a life peak when all of your ambitions and efforts should bear their greatest fruit. That peak will occur during the transit of Saturn through the 10th house. That's coming up. Now, while Saturn transits the 9th house, your views about life are becoming stabilized. You understand the rules of the game you're playing in, and you are concentrating on how to play more skillfully. That makes sense. In this phase of the cycle of Saturn, your understanding of yourself and how you live has reached a climax. There's a danger here, however. It is tempting to assume that you have reached the point of complete understanding, so that you may become narrow unless you remain open to new discoveries about yourself and the world. Strangely enough, legal difficulties, third time, can be manifestation of this problem, for the 9th house is also the house of law. You will be attracted to all subjects related to higher consciousness, such as religion. You better get some religion, boy. Metaphysics or philosophy, as well as the law in its heightened sense. Now, that would be good. I would like to hold that thought out there. But you're also concerned with practical results, being a Virgo, of course. You are coming to a stage that will test your ultimate effectiveness as a human being. So, this is not the right time for abstractions unless they can help you get a firmer grasp on the real world. Your approach to learning is very pragmatic at this time. The understanding you gain in this house will be of enormous benefit to you when you encounter the transit of Saturn through your 10th house. So, in many ways, Saturn's transit of this house represents the harvest. During this time, you will experience the consequence of the preparation you have made for the last 20 to 24 years. If you have prepared well, the results will be excellent, but whatever is not so well prepared will be the basis of the difficulties you will encounter. See, he's probably, it's like he's 45, right? So he went, to what, Naval Academy and then law school and, West Point, whatever, and all that stuff. Um, now he's this now. Who knows what our stuff behind there? I mean, if something bad happens to Trump, maybe he's in there for that. I mean, who knows what these people are going to try to do? But anyway, in your professional life, you will gain many responsibilities. If you are ever to be a leader, it will be now. If you are ambitious for leadership, this will be a period of great achievement. But see, now, let me finish reading this. The 10th house governs those aspects of your life that really represent your individuality as it is expressed by your unique accomplishments. At this time, you can have the greatest opportunity to make an impression upon the world as an individual, but this can also be a time of disaster. Negative energies that you have unleashed in the past may have negative consequences now. President Nixon resigned from office during this transit. In the past, he had created great opposition. Blah blah blah. Okay, Saturn's transit through this house is especially dangerous if there are difficult aspects to planets in the 10th house in your natal chart. We'll look and see in just a second. Another danger that can occur during this transit is that you may become so focused on external affairs, your job, social prestige, status, that you overlook what is happening in your personal life. Okay, so we did see something, what with the wife, or what was that back here? Oh, where was it? Oh well. Anyway, we saw some. There's like a couple things now coming around. Let me go back to his chart. Okay, so we could see that Saturn will come over, and then it's also going to go over his south node. So we've got Neptune going over to south node, and then we got Saturn going over to south node. Not, I don't know. That's the stuff that kind of bugs me. I don't think this is his time. And then let's see when Saturn it's 2.5 years. To go through a sign. It's already when did it? It's like maybe been a half year. So like 2 years now. It's going to take. Let's just actually look at this. Let's see how long. Sorry, it's going to do it like that. There we go. Okay, let's look. No, oh crap! It didn't want it. Why did I go to Trump? Huh. All right. Sorry, I don't know why that did that. All right, we got to go back to this. Nope. Wow, I don't know what's going on with this today. It's just wonky. All right, we should see this. Let me go back to his. There we go. Make sure you got this. Okay. Can we do this? I'm just going to leave it this size. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. All right, let's go. Let's just go a couple years. All right, so we go next year at this time. Saturn is at 19 degrees. Okay, now let's just go. Let's go a month. See, get to how long it's going to be to go 26. See, it's go retrograde. Oh, it goes fast when it gets going. Wow, it did fast. Saturn 26. There it is. Okay, so it's going to be April 18th, 2025. All right, 2 years that we've got the Saturn, whoa, and the North Node uh, going over his South Node. So he's going to have his nodal halfway return, and then Saturn over that. Isn't that interesting? And then Venus at that time going over his South Node. So maybe a very I don't know, debilitating kind of time. Anything going over your South Node is like things you should be giving up, getting rid of, moving on from. So it will be interesting to see, 2 years time, what that's all about. Okay, what else do we want to do here? Okay, I'm just getting kind of long. I'm just going to do one little quick looky see. So anyway, he looks like he's not coming into the best time. I mean, he's coming into some stuff, but he's got some other things he's really got to go through. It's not the best time of orienting toward the midheaven to me. It's got a lot of mixed bag here. All right, I just want to look at one other thing, and then we will go today. We're going to look at this one next time more. Let's do, I just want to show, and next time, just give you a little look up. We're going to look at Robert Kennedy Jr. And just with his chart, he look at all this Capricorn stuff. I mean, we're going to ignore, well, there's Chiron up there and his North Node, but he's got 3 planets there, and with that, he's got a big bunch of stuff. And this is all in his 10th house already. So there'll be a lot of things going on. There's a lot of stuff going on there for him now. I mean, just, we'll hit that more completely. But, we've got the Mars will be trining all that because Mars will be in Virgo. And then we've got Uranus in Taurus that's been trining all that. So right now, well, it will be. Right now, we know that Uranus is at 22 degrees Taurus, and it's a trine because they're both earth signs. So the wounded healer, he's bringing up a lot of stuff. He had that book on Fauci. He's going against, he's talking about the bioweapon in the arm. Let me put it that way. Wounded healer, then that's going right toward his North Node. His North Node is like right there, and then Venus right there. So that, that transit of Uranus now is going to go over his North Node because it's going to go retrograde over at, go to 23 degrees. Well, we'll hit that some more, but just a little prelude of some things that you can see for someone. And then we just, start looking around and looking that up. Either look at the conversation those 2 planets are having. The aspect tells you what it is. If it's an opposition, it's like a fight or a square, it's not really the nicest thing. That weird quincunx, that 150-degree angle, that's an adjustment. It's just because there's nothing in common. And then you have trines and sextiles, which are more amenable. And then conjuncts are intense. They can be intense good or intense bad. So anyway, that is today. And I know it was a little long, but sometimes there's a lot of things. So when you go about looking at somebody or some things or comparing, there's a lot of work involved. Astrology is not for the faint of heart or for the weak of mind. There's a lot going on, and it's not foo-foo or weird. I'm not bringing this stuff out. This is all, I'm not just pulling it out of my hat. This is all mathematically figured out, and we're using astrology is our measure, is our ruling stick, a ruler stick, our tape measure. And we're using that to gauge things. So I hope this was informative and look forward to next week. Thank you all for watching. Bye for now.